Robert Hyde. I'm the vice chair. Kenton, our chair, is out of town this evening, so I'll be conducting the meeting. We welcome some new members to our commission, Jessica Ma and Michael Vela. I have to have Rocio here to help me say those words correctly, but thank you for being here, and we welcome you to the commission. I think everyone else has been here a while. We're going to begin by approval of the minutes. Someone want to make a motion on the minutes, or anyone have any comments first? If not, we could have a motion from somebody.
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes last meeting.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just say aye. We'll go by one if we think it's not a sure thing. At this time, we have reports from the chair and the vice chair, and the chair's not here, and I'm the vice chair, and I don't have a report, so we'll go to the next item. I'm going to go ahead and take the public comment at this time. Cindy Cromer, you wanted to make a comment.
Well, I've known this day was coming. My name is Cindy Cromer, and I'm a fixture in the audience. I walked in and I saw the new name tags, and I knew that there were going to be some members of the commission who have served for many, many years with distinction who were departing. In fact, all three of them, Charles Shepard, Tom Brennan, and Shelley Harding, have served as chair of this commission. We are talking about the departure of the Brain Trust, the leadership of the commission. In 2 minutes, I can't tell you everything I've thought of over the many years I've been listening to them, but I just want to highlight one thing that I've truly appreciated about each member who's retiring. Charles Shepard, his technical knowledge is just phenomenal, and he is one of the best qualified people in the state to rebut misinformation about tax credits when people say that they can't use them, that they don't have any income, and they don't need them. Or that they're not applicable. So I will miss him tremendously. I hope somebody can bone up on the tax credits. Tom Brennan. Tom Brennan has stepped up over and over again because of his intimate knowledge of Liberty Park, which has been a battleground for me for now over 20 years. And Tom knows Liberty Park like the back of his hand, and he can talk about the nuances of that space in ways that very few people can. I have appreciated him tremendously on your decisions regarding Liberty Park. And Shelley Harding, who is my neighbor, has just been remarkable on keeping this commission on course as it would drift off into minutia. She would remind the group of what it was supposed to be dealing with, what was in front of the commission, and the procedure. The thing I remember most about what she says is that she would say something to the effect of, I don't have a problem with, or redirect the commission. The only positive thing I can think about all these departures is that now when I distribute flyers about some upcoming bad idea in the Central City Historic District, I don't have to skip over Commissioner Harding's house. That's the only positive thing I can think of.
Thank you, Cindy. Really do appreciate you bringing up this subject, because we've lost three really tremendous commissioners this last month. Charles Shepard's here with us, was the chair when I came on the commission. Tom Brennan and Shelley Harding, all three have been very, very active and strong commissioners, and so we are going to miss them. And that much turnover, it gives us a much different complexion than we had a few months ago. Makes you the old guy here, Dave, but
Older than he is.
well, that's another subject. But anyway, thank you, Cindy, for that reminder, and thank you, Charles, for your service. We've got two agenda items tonight.
Actually, Mr. Chair, may I say something on behalf of the city? On behalf of the city
Please.
And of the Planning Division, thank you so much for your service, Charles, because you're here this evening, but also Tom and Shelley. I will go to Shelley's office and thank her. But really, thank you so much for the last 2 terms that you served. You all served as chairs during, I think, pretty key moments that helped shape the historic preservation program at Salt Lake City and helping us shape city policy during the upswing in the economy and a lot of really difficult policy questions. So thank you so much for being gracious and knowledgeable and having those late night discussions when we needed them. And so I tried to identify some key moments that we all had, and I'm certainly this list could go on, but all the hours that you advised us on the multifamily design guidelines, thank you for all of your knowledge, Charles. And also helping us shape our new local historic district process. That designation process with the state involvement, it was key to have those great minds on this commission. Our new demolition and economic hardship process, multiple hours, and we appreciate your contribution there. Our new construction ordinance for Salt Lake City, we think has been successful. Really just your graciousness and attention to detail handling our difficult demolition requests within the overlay, and your thoughtful review there. You advised us on dozens of new applications for new construction within our overlay and making sure that we have compatible infill, so thank you very much for your architectural knowledge there. Amongst other items, we thank you, and just on a personal note, it has truly been a pleasure, and we'd like to present you with something, a letter from the mayor with appreciation for serving on the Landmark Commission. Thank you.
What's
Sorry about
what's
that.
in the box? Is that something historic?
Thank you, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Michaela. That was great. Okay, we'll get on to business now.
I think you might have one more card for public comment.
But it relates to the second item on the agenda. Did I have something else?
I don't think we have
The
that.
card I have is from Steve Stoddard, but it relates to the masonry matter.
That's not a public hearing, so we just want to inform. On the masonry item tonight, it's a continuation of a previous item, and the public hearing was closed, so there's no public comment on that item tonight.
So the first item up is a request for a time extension on a major alteration. Nathan, are you handling that? Did I say that right?
Wayne.
Wayne, are you handling that?
Yeah, I'll handle that.
Okay.
This was approved by the Historic Landmark Commission back in September 6th of 2018. It was a major alteration and 2 special exceptions at 265 North C Street. It was an addition to the rear of a home that also protruded out to the side. This is just a pretty simple extension request for those of you, especially the new commissioners. Approvals such as certificates of appropriateness and special exceptions are valid for 1 year unless a building permit has been obtained. And in this case, the applicant has yet to pull a building permit, so requested an extension. And this happens quite often for new commissions, especially, planning commission projects also, and that they're seeking, additional funding or trying to secure their funding sources, labor shortages, everything else. So that's I believe, is the applicant for this project here? The applicant is here if you have any questions.
Paul, are there any parameters, legal parameters that pertain to an extension request?
We don't have any standards on these per se, so my recommendation would just be a good cause, kind of a statement.
Okay.
Good cause shown.
Does anybody on the commission have any comment or any concern about granting the one-year extension to allow them to finish this project?
Do you have a motion sheet? I'm sorry, we just put that in today just to help you
Yeah.
with the motion. It's in your Dropbox.
David,
Okay.
do you want to go ahead and make a motion?
Based on the information contained in the memo dated September 5, 2019, and the original staff report from the September 6, 2018 Historic Landmarks Commission meeting, I move that the commission grant the requested one-year time extension for the major alteration and 2 special exception approvals that were granted for the property located at 265 North C Street. These are petition numbers PLN HLC 2017 00772 and 00574.
Do we have a second on that motion? Michael?
Second that motion.
We'll go ahead and vote. We'll start over here with you, Victoria.
Petro Eschler, aye. Torres Mora, aye.
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 Stoll, aye.
Ma, aye.
Vella, aye.
So that passes, and we'll let you get your building built. You bet.
Next.
Our second item this evening is being handled by, I know it starts with an M. It's just because I can't pronounce things right.
Mayara.
Mayara. Mayara?
Yeah, that's right.
That close enough? I'm really lousy with names, sorry.
That's okay. That's a hard
Not
one.
remembering as much as saying them, but.
There's too many A's there.
So this involves property at 171 West, 300 North, and is a new matter.
Yeah, so this is a continuation of the project represented to you on June 6, 2019, which is a request to approve paint applied to 3 facades of the masonry building located at 171 West 300 North. Just to give a little more context for the new commissioners, this building is a walk-up apartment building with brick on all facades and flagstone highlighting the entrances. It was constructed in 1950, and it is an example of post-war modern architectural style. And this building is considered contributing to the Capitol Hill Local Historic District. The paint was applied to the brick on the front and side facades and to the flagstone on the 2 entrances. The rear facade was left unpainted, and the work was carried out without a certificate of appropriateness, so this property is under enforcement. This is being referred to the commission because staff find that the paint does not comply with the standards of review. On the June 6th meeting, the commission tabled the request to allow the applicant some time to obtain a report provided by a qualified contractor to show the viability of removing the paint on the building. The report was to include the potential harm to the brick and the stone, the methodology of application, and the test stripping results. The applicant did provide the contractor's report with a contractor's bid and a letter that changed their initial minor alteration request to approve only the paint applied to the brick, no longer the flagstone. All the documents submitted by the applicant are included in the memo. The contractor's report and the bid show that the paint removal is almost entirely possible with an estimated success rate of approximately 98%. The report does not make mention of damages to the brick, but does highlight that this process is labor intensive and it will require a higher degree of effort due to the highly textured brick. The report also mentions that some repointing of the mortar may be necessary after the paint removal process. So this is the building. The first one was the original building, and this is after it was painted. And when I went to post the sign on the property, I did take a picture of the area where they did the test stripping. It looks pretty clean. With the results of the report, planning staff maintains that the paint applied to the brick does not comply with the standards of review and adversely affect the historic building. the city's adopted guidelines for historic apartments and multifamily buildings, and the historic design guidelines for historic residential properties specifically state that painting masonry that was not painted traditionally should be avoided. Additionally, staff finds that the paint does not comply with 4 of the zoning standards for a certificate of appropriateness for alterations of a contributing structure, and those were listed in attachment E of the staff report. Masonry is one of the most important character-defining features of a historic building, and this apartment reflects the transformation of architecture that occurred in the Capitol Hill neighborhood. Paint obscures the character of the building and causes damages to the brick, and because it traps moisture. So staff is recommending the commission deny the request.
Does anyone have any questions? If not,
I do have a question. I wasn't sure if we went over this, but the stone in the front entryway, was that original or was that added in later on?
No, it was original to the building.
Okay.
And that's a characteristic of multifamily buildings and doing that.
any other questions for Mayara? If
Have any other methods of paint removal?
So,
Ask again.
yeah, does she need to say it again? Or?
One more time? Okay. Have alternate means of removing the paint from the brick been looked into?
I'm not sure, maybe the applicant can answer that.
What was the bid to clean the building?
The bid was attached to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
58,000?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We'll hear from the applicants now. If you come up and speak into the microphones and introduce yourselves.
I'm going to throw up a few slides. Is that okay?
Sure. She can help you with that.
I just didn't want to eject without, messing with things.
We don't need this one, right? Close it. Yeah. Let me end this here.
There you go, right there.
Good evening. Hi, I'm James Tate. I'm the founder of Preserve Partners and the owner of this building, which we call the Arches.
Preserve Partners own the building?
The technical entity is the Arches North LLC,
yeah.
but we're the owners
You're
of that.
part of the owner, though,
We're
part of the owner
ownership.
group.
Correct.
What's your last name, James?
Tate, T-A-T-E. And myself and my partners came to Salt Lake 6 years ago with the intention of doing value-added multifamily renovation with preservation at the center. So the sad irony that I'm sitting here is not lost on me. And I would say that this was the second property we ever purchased in Salt Lake about 5.5 years ago. We have a stern dedication to preservation. We own the Hillcrest and the Kensington, which are undergoing federal historic tax credit renovations that have been passed by both the federal government and SHPO and been through the commission. And so we're very familiar with the process. This is Kensington. This is a before and an after photo. And just generally, we have a meticulous dedication to detail and preservation wherever possible. We currently have three new projects which were purchased from the Utah Nonprofit Housing Corporation for affordable housing. These are also going to be state and federal historic tax credit deals. There are three properties, the Bigelow, the Chapman, and the Lincoln Arms, all located downtown. Again, this is about a year process, and roughly 25% of it will be affordable housing. And I only speak to this just because kind of the success of one project begets the success of other projects. And so I don't mean to make this too big, but the failure of one hinders us to kind of continue the mission to do more, which is why I'm here speaking about the arches. So this was, an unintentional, although we looked our best at the reason, made a judgment based on the report and the interpretation of the zoning code. We're not familiar, nor were our subcontractors familiar with the overlay of the Marmalade District. And, we were pointing out examples that I think other people, we copied other people and other people copied us around town. And just looking around the district I think this mistake has been made before, and it continues to be made by us as well as others. We can move on. I guess our biggest issue is, we understand the problem with the building and obviously the remediation, but our problem is one of scale, which is this property makes about $18,000 a year net, and the bid to have this done with this method is $58,000, which is just economically infeasible for the property. We did try another method prior, which was really unsuccessful, which is why we were kind of asked to go back and try one of these three vendors, which we did. And by and large, it was successful, although there are footnotes that it may potentially damage the brick. However, I don't think that's the issue. It's just the ability to actually execute the desired outcome. So I guess coming on bended knee, thinking from a preservation standpoint about perhaps the most important historical elements of this building were the flagstone entrance, which was painted, and possibly the ability to reach some kind of compromise where we go back and we remove all of the paint around the sandstone entrance and perhaps restore the historic Joanne sign, which is, I think, a real fixture in the neighborhood and has fallen on disrepair, as opposed to go back and remediate the paint on all three sides of the building. And then also to help in any way we can to create a notification process that allows noters better visibility of all these issues, just because I'm sure you're tired of having these meetings, and we're also a bit embarrassed and a little afraid of the outcome. So that's us, and Preserve is here, and we have about 1,000 units in Salt Lake, and we're willing to help the commission because we appreciate everything you do and by and large benefit from it. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. For those of you who are new, what we'll do is, after we hear comments from the city and then from the applicants, we can now ask questions of these applicants, then we'll have public comments, and then we'll close eventually and have our own internal discussion. So, do any of you have any comments for James?
So in addition to just the color and the issues with the appearance, one of the other issues raised in the code is that there's a problem with moisture, the ability to regulate heat. Should we decide that you don't have to restore this, what's your proposal for preserving the actual integrity of the brick itself and avoiding those other issues? I'm
not an expert, but should you deem that as part of the requirement, I know the right people to figure it out. But yeah, I wouldn't want to speak.
Do they fit within your budget?
I imagine anything will be closer than this.
I guess I had a single question. You said others in the neighborhood have done this previously. Within the direct neighborhood, they've also painted.
We actually had a property that's located on, 900 East, that we call Acadia North, that is same color scheme, and I believe a gentleman in the audience here painted his building, which is directly across the street from ours, same color scheme based off of a building that we have outside the overlay. And then we painted our building, 171 West, 300 North, based off of his painting his building. And so it was a leapfrog that ended up, I think, with two kind of issues on your table right now.
So you spoke to this, but maybe I didn't fully understand it. You folks are in the preservation business and you're in the historic district. Did you didn't know you were in a historic district?
We were completely unaware of the overlay in Marmalade. We hadn't done any renovations to the building, to the exterior of the building at all prior. And it was, it was just seeing something and then asking a subcontractor and then go ahead and doing it. And usually you don't need a permit for painting. And so nothing that we did triggered the knowledge of that. But again, ignorance is no excuse, but.
It not being a landmark site, but being in an overlay there was just nothing that we could find that was terribly clear at the time that showed that this was going to be an issue, especially considering, your immediate surrounding neighborhood of painted buildings. In fact, one that we owned previously was a painted home, and it just, frankly, it just escaped us.
So this property is actually part of two other buildings at first. They were on different parcels, and those dated back to the late 19th century, or actually mid-19th century, I think 1850. It was a house directly to the south, and it had been painted really very previously to us taking ownership of the property. And then again, actually, well, I probably shouldn't say that, but not by us. And so it just was a knowledge failure, which I just think, in the overlay district, if there's some kind of notification procedure, we didn't get it, but it was a fault of our own.
I have a question. So, knowing what you do know now, how will your processes change in the future?
I think if it would probably be best upon ownership that are in title search upon acquisition that these restrictions are made visible. Because that's the same thing upon every ownership change. Owners are usually obviously told about easements and such, or certain historic designations. But that it's something that would pop up in a title search would obviously be very valuable.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll excuse you for a minute. Steve Stoddard had requested to speak.
Wait, you closed the public hearing at the last meeting that this was heard, and this was not advertised as a public hearing. So we can't reopen the public hearing unless we advertise it.
Well, this matter,
It was listed as unfinished business on the agenda.
yeah, I don't know the rules on that, Paul. Is that
Yeah, it's the public hearing is closed, so if you were to take additional public comment, we would have to table this item again, renotice it as a public hearing.
Oh, okay.
And then,
okay, I didn't realize that. Thank you.
It was advertised as a public hearing in front of the building?
This meeting was a public hearing, but not this particular item, right?
Oh.
We're receiving an item in the mail. I've never seen a mailer about this.
all right, we can't do this outside of the microphones. Do you have a picture of the posting? Myard, you posted it as a public hearing?
No, this
The sign was posted as a public hearing. The notice was sent as not a public hearing, so, yeah.
it's kind of hard. Well, it's flipping all over, sorry.
I can confirm that, yeah.
That it was posted as a public hearing?
I'm sorry.
No, that only gets us halfway there.
That was the posting on the property, but the
The notice-
notices that went out said this is not a public hearing, as well as the agenda was just listed as unfinished business.
So I don't think you can hold a public hearing on this. If you want to postpone it, renotice it as a public hearing. That's your call, but at this meeting we can't because the agenda and the notice that was mailed specifically say it's not a public hearing.
I don't feel the need to have a public hearing for this commission to make a decision. Do any of you? Do you want to hear more input from the public before you decide? Or is that our choice, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, we're in a weird situation here. I wasn't aware that this was posted that way. It is your choice because it was not noticed that way. I imagine that people might have some feelings about seeing the notice on the property, but yeah, you can go ahead and make a decision tonight without a public hearing, or you can table it again and renotice it. It's your call. Either way. We just can't have the public hearing tonight.
Yeah, commissioners, do you want to kick it to next month, or do you want to go ahead and decide?
I want to move it to next month, just because there's so many different, two different options, and wouldn't want a situation where we didn't hear from them, and then, they had that option. Just to be clear, maybe by next month have it all clear, all the notices out, and then we can make a decision on that.
Okay, good input.
I'd like to know what the applicant would like.
It's not the applicant's. It's not the applicant's choice.
It's a lose-lose here. If I can provide anything in the interim, I would obviously, to you, in addition to what you've seen, if you have more questions, I would obviously want to push it. But I also don't want to take up more of your time than we already have.
Has there previously been a public hearing?
Say that again?
Has there previously been a public hearing?
Yes.
Yeah.
June 6th, I think it was.
Yeah, this has been unfinished business, so it was pushed off once already. Dave, do you have an opinion? Either way. So we don't need to close, since this isn't public, we don't have to close anything.
It's already closed.
We're going to go ahead and talk for a minute, and let's maybe we could get an indication where people are leaning on this issue, even if we aren't going to decide it till next month. But let me ask this question first. If we vote to, how many people are going to vote to continue it to next month? Are there people that want to do it right now? Or is let's go ahead and. Yeah, I want to know if you want to extend it till next month. No. Do you have an opinion?
No strong preference.
I don't care.
Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and extend it to next month then, but.
You got to do that by motion.
I have a motion to do that, but I want to.
The motion should also be that there would be a public hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we need both things on motion.
Yeah, go ahead and make the motion. I'd just like to have a discussion while they're here about it, since we're all here and we've heard it presented, we can still talk about it, but we're not going to decide it tonight. So you go ahead and make the motion and then we'll talk for a minute.
So I move to table this. I need to read the code.
October 3rd. Oh, the number. You looking for the number?
Yes, the number.
Number's 132. That's enough. If you want, just 171 West, 300 North.
171. So I move to postpone this or table. Let me get that. Move to postpone 171 West, 300 North, which is PLN HLC 2019-00132, till next month. And we also ask that they post a public hearing notice.
So that's something that staff will do internally? It would just be,
It'll
and
just be
the
in
motion to reopen the public hearing?
Okay, so
And
the
then-
motion is to reopen the public hearing.
Yes, so
And
to table,
table this until the next month.
and I need the rationale. I need just a very simple reason.
There's confusion as to whether the public were notified of this being a public, what is this, a public,
A public hearing.
Public hearing.
public or not?
That works.
I'll second the motion.
Second by Stan. Michael, we'll start with you.
Yes.
Aye.
Stoll, aye.
Aye.
Richardson abstains.
Aye.
Beecher Eschler, aye.
Okay. So we faced this issue last month in a way with someone who had violated the statute, and we were going to make them tear down a bunch of things and redo a lot of work that was very expensive. And the concern then we had is the concern I would have again tonight, which is if we don't enforce the rules, where do we draw the line? You know, we have so many applicants every year, and there are hardship situations, but I'm not sure this falls into hardship. Your net operating income is a product of how much equity you put in and how much you borrow, so it's not a very informative number as far as I'm concerned. But even regardless of that, you know, you're in the preservation business, and we're talking here internally. We're not talking to you, but I'm just saying that.
And Mr. Chair, since we've tabled the matter, I think we should conclude the discussion on this.
What'd you say?
Since the matter's been tabled, I think we should conclude the discussion on this.
You don't think we can talk about it?
I don't think you can.
Okay. Well, should have talked about it before we tabled it then.
Yeah, we should have been discussion in.
We can talk about it next month.
We'll be talking about it next month.
Okay.
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 There's nothing else we have to say then. This matter's been tabled.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time, and we'll see you next month.
Okay.
Just
you.
one more thing is, last time you requested that we do certain things in the interim to help you make a decision. Is there anything additionally that we can provide for the next hearing?
The address on the quote is incorrect.
Address.
The
has
address
two
of the property
yeah,
is-
addresses. But yeah, I'm sure.
No, it
I'll
says
switch
north and south. So it says
does.
171 north and then 300.
I'll fix that.
Yes, thank you.
I'll have it fixed. But yeah, so.
I don't think so. It's just a matter of giving the public a chance to come and speak, so we'll
right.
talk to you then.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Does
you.
anyone else have any other items? Otherwise, if not, we're adjourned. I did that for you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
What? You believe that?
Very confusing.
Two items and maybe.
Right. Technicalities will get in the morning, so let's just make sure that's, and it's unfortunate that you don't come back. Because ultimately.
I get to go home alone. I'm very excited.